Hi guys, so I'm wearing a wool skirt and it's actually a houndstooth weave, which is a really pretty and very timeless weave. It's one of my favorites actually. Here at the Salvation Army, it's 50% off Wednesday, so all the clothing are 50% off. So I actually got this skirt for only about $2 I think, and it's really awesome because it's 100% wool, which is amazing skirt. Now the only problem with thrift store clothing is that the fit isn't always 100%. The waist fits me perfectly. It hits me right at my belly button and you know, it's amazing. Now, it's a little bit too long for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten the length a little bit, and I'm also going to take in these little hips right here, which I don't know, makes me look very hippie, and it's not one of my favorite looks. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to shorten a skirt and also how to kind of contour this just a little bit. It's a really easy tutorial, but maybe you can learn a little bit something and maybe change a few thrift items that you found. So I'm going to flip the skirt completely inside out. At the bottom of the skirt there is usually a hem, and I actually have taken off the hem completely only because I'm going to create a new hem order, so you can unstitch that hem completely. And usually when you have a skirt like this, the hem has very wide stitches only because it's done by hand, so it's going to be easier for you to take it out as well. And we're going to straighten everything out. Okay, so I already measured myself, and I'm going to measure this skirt right here as well. Where I'm focusing on is the widest part of the skirt, and that's where I look most hippie. I'm going to take the measuring tape and measure from seam to seam where it is the widest on the skirt, and it's giving me, showing that this is 19.5 inches. I am actually only 17 inches, so that means I have to remove 2¼ inch from this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my little ruler here, straight from the side right here, I'm going to measure in 1¼ inch. And I'm also going to measure another 1¼ inch. At the very top of the skirt, you can see that the seam is busted open. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew right at the tip right here where the original thread line is. We're going to sew a straight line following that thread line and then kind of just veering off. When I veer off, I want to be able to hit this mark that I originally did and then just sew on straight down. So go ahead and flatten out your skirt completely. You can actually wear the skirt on and pinch the sides and then pin wherever you've pinched. That works too. I just don't think it will be as neat when you're done. Just like that. You're going to start in this little corner and go all the way down, just like that. Remember to hit your new hip mark. Okay, so I have sewn in the side, and as you can see that it's a little bit less hippie. It's not, you know, bulging out as much as it was before. The best thing you can do is kind of just iron it out a little bit. Use a pillow or something to just kind of iron out the curves a little bit. Now what we could do is we could shorten the length, and it's pretty easy. All you have to do is kind of flip it inwards like this. And go ahead and take a pin and just pin it where you want the length to be. This is actually the length of your skirt, but you have to add a 2-inch hem. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw a straight line. It's easier when you have patterns because it's already matched up. So I'm going to draw a straight line kind of close to where my pin is. And then from there, I'm just going to add 2 inches. And you're going to do the same on the back as well. Once you have traced out your lines, you're going to cut the lower line, not the top line, the lower line. The top line is your reference on where you're going to fold the skirt. Since I've cut the skirt immensely short, I would also have to cut my lining pretty short as well. Now, I'm going to leave my lining here, and I'm going to kind of just flip it up and mark where my pin is on the lining. Here's my pin. Here's the marking on lining. And I'm actually going to cut right on that line only because it's lining, so it doesn't really matter. And do the same thing. Just draw a straight line. So what you're gonna have to do is right when you cut this, you're gonna have to serge it, or roll hem it, or hem it by hand, or zigzag stitch the edge, or something to finish the edge so that it doesn't fray. So I went ahead and I serged the end of my lining. I also went ahead and serged the end of my fabric. And remember how we have the 2 inch left over? Well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and fold it all the way around where the 2 inch line was, and go ahead and iron it flat just like this. Bottom of the hem, and you have that fold right here. If you looked underneath, there's going to be the serge edge and then the fold that's over. I'm going to demonstrate this on the lighter fabric so it's easier for you to see. Usually I like to start on the side seam of the skirt, and what I do is I make one little stitch just like that, and I pull, and then I put the needle back into that stitch again. And usually when you want to do it right at the edge where the serge is so you could hide the thread. The best way to do this is to curl the serge part down like that. So now that your thread is on the underside, you're going to take out just a little chunk right here and pull. You see how it's itsy bitsy, you can barely even tell? Then you're gonna take your needle and you're gonna put it on the serge side, like that, and pull. And you're gonna take a little tiny little chunk from the right hand side. The reason why you only take a tiny chunk is because you don't want it to show up on the other side of the fabric. Now, because I'm using a wool skirt, it's going to be a lot easier, only because the fabric is thicker, so I don't have to be so precise. But on this kind of fabric, you have to be extremely precise. If I say one thread, you literally have to take only one thread out. So you've already done the one side. Now you're going to stick it back onto the serge side. When you're putting your needle back onto the serge side, you could take as big as a chunk out as much as you want. This way it makes things go by faster. See how I skipped really like a big area? Now you're going to go back to the right side, and remember that's where you have to do just only one thread. There's different ways to hem. I like to do it this way because it's the neatest. It's also my favorite, and it always looks the best, only because it's hidden on the outside of the fabric and also on the inside as well. If you were to roll down the serge just like that, it basically kind of looks like it's just serged and folded over. You can't tell that it's being tacked down by thread so that it holds, you know? And also the neat thing is that when you flip it on this side, you can't even tell that you've made a stitch or anything because you've only taken out a thread. So you're just going to repeat, and you're going to go all the way around the skirt, and then when you meet back to the seam that you started, you basically just tie a knot a couple of times and you're pretty much done. Okay, and here are the final finished product. As you can see, it's a little bit nicely shaped and it's shorter, so it's less frumpy dumpty. This construction probably took maybe less than 30 minutes. It's really quick. So I hope the tutorial was a little bit helpful, and maybe you can go into your mom's closet and reconstruct a few things for yourself.